Hi, I'm Disciplined Dave, and this is the channel that puts the technique in your physique. Today, I'm reviewing the Clench Fitness resistance bands. A few weeks back, I gave my first impressions, and now I have put these bands through the Disciplined Dave test to see how these bands stack up to the competition. And as promised, I put these bands through an unscientific resistance band pop test. So yes, by the end of this video, you will see a resistance band pop. Ow! If you're new to the channel, this channel is dedicated to all things resistance bands, from workouts, tips and tricks for better results, and reviews. If that sounds like something you're interested in, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I bought the Clench Fitness Resistance Band Level 2 kit. And yes, I bought these bands with my own money. Nobody gifted them to me. They are not a sponsor of the channel. These are my honest thoughts and opinions. So it comes in the kit is 4 pairs of bands, and each pair has the same level of resistance, so 8 bands total, an anchor strap, and 2 unique looking handles. The handles seem to be the one thing that really stands out from the competition when it comes to resistance bands. These are some very unique looking handles. As you see, it has these curves that are like this that go on each end. They're fully made of plastic. They have a part where you put an inner loop in for a band. It gives you more of a center of gravity, and you can also put things on the outside. Another good thing about these handles are you can use them to store the bands, so you can wrap them around if you don't want bands just laying around all the time over the house, just like my house always is. There's bands everywhere. And the good thing I like about the handles is that when you're using them for things like cable flies, it makes it so that the bands don't rub against your arms. So it makes a little gap in between, so your arms go through that gap portion, so you don't have all this rubbing portion on it. I really appreciate that with the handles, because if you see like this little faint little scar here, I actually pulled some skin off actually doing a video when I was doing a chest exercise from the band rubbing against. So I really like the handles for that reason, that it keeps it off of the body. Now, while testing these bands, I posted them up on my stories on Instagram. And if you were following me on Instagram, you know that my first exercise was the bicep curls. As I was doing bicep curls, something very scary happened. I heard this loud sound. I thought I had snapped the band. When I went to go check out the band, I actually didn't snap the band. What happened was that the door anchor pulled through the door at the bottom. That right there got me hesitant. But after doing some further research, I checked out their tutorial videos on their YouTube channel labeled Clench Fitness, and they describe some more things about the door anchor. It actually says on the channel, don't put the door anchor on the bottom of the door if the gap is not tight enough. If the gap is not tight enough. What does that mean? That just seemed a little vague for me about like how much the gap should be where it works and how much it doesn't. But it does give you an alternative. And what it says is to put it in the hinge of the door, so that way it doesn't pull all the way through. And if you look at that, pretty much all doors are going to have a very tight seal when it comes to that there. But the thing that disappointed me was I had to really go and look to find that information. I'm sure most people are going to do what I did when they get their resistance bands. There was no disclaimer that told you not to do this in the packaging. There was nothing there in the box at all, nothing on the strap itself, because I think that was very important to put that disclaimer out there, because I think people could hurt themselves if they don't really look at what that disclaimer says. Luckily, I wasn't hurt. It didn't even hit me at all, so that's the great news. But other than that first initial scary thing, all the other exercises were a breeze. I really enjoyed doing things like cable flies that were on there. They were great as far as they held up when I was doing squats. I did a couple of tricep extensions and things like that. So as far as all the other things besides that one thing, it was great. Using a door anchor at the top of the door, I had no problem. I mean, I was a little nervous at first because what happened with the bicep curl, but even with very high resistance, I had no issues of it slipping through the door. I did notice some quality control issues on one of the bands. That'll seem to be something where there's some extra latex and something sticking out of one of the smaller bands. I mean, it wasn't a big issue as far as I don't think it affected the structure or my workout or anything like that. But I did see that there was something that looked a little bit defective on one of the bands. So you may want to look out for that when you're purchasing your bands. Now, my first impressions video that I did a couple of weeks back, I did mention that it had a greasy finish to the bands. And I actually like that when it comes to the bands because you can do minor adjustments with a door anchor. Let's say if you're doing something like a cable fly and one side isn't even as much as like the other side, well, you can make those minor adjustments when it has that slick finish to it. But the problem with these bands are, because of the structure of the door anchor, where it's this plastic tube that goes over top of this nylon, that plastic tube is extremely grippy, so you can't really take advantage of that slickness for those minor adjustments. I do like the bands themselves, but that was one thing that I did find an issue when I was doing certain exercises. But on the flip side, what I love about these bands is that you're getting a set of the same resistance, so you're getting these pairs. A lot of other companies, they're all gonna be different levels, but you're getting two of the same level of resistance. So it's great for when you're doing dual exercises. So when I was doing those flies, or if I was doing single arm curls, I could use both of them in unison or use them in opposition, like alternative type of bicep curls. So I really like that versatility when it came to it, which I found it to be unique to the Clench Fitness. And I think with some other companies, you can purchase them individual, but that really adds up the cost. So I really like that they come this way here, so you can really open up a range of different exercises when using two limbs. Now, some things I didn't like that really bothered me was, for one, it didn't come with any type of bag. Out of all the bands I've tested out, and if you've been a subscriber for the channel for a long time, even the cheapest bands that I buy off of Amazon, like I did a video of the cheapest bands on Amazon and they were like $10. They all came with some type of carrying bag. This one does not. It just comes with a box. The bands are wrapped in plastic. The handles themselves are just laying there in the box. I mean, the packaging was nothing special. It was just pretty bare bones, but it didn't come with any type of carrying bag. And you don't want to be just hauling all those different bands around when you're trying to move them from various locations in your home, or if you want to take them to the gym. So it's going to add to the cost to get a bag for them. In addition, it doesn't tell you the resistance levels on the bands themselves. They are separated by colors, but there's nothing that gives you any type of weight resistance when it comes to pounds or kilograms. There's nothing like Undersun where it tells you like heavy, light. You're just kind of in this guessing game, or you can just kind of eyeball the thickness of it and you can kind of go off of that feel. I really wish they gave you some type of guide of resistance. My biggest gripe of the bands was definitely the door anchor. The door anchor looks like an afterthought. It didn't seem like they really thought about the design when it came to it. As I told you before, it slipped through the door at the bottom. I really had to hunt to really see on the tutorial videos on how to use these bands properly. There is some type of QR code that comes on the strap, but it's nothing that directly leads you to using the door anchor. I really had to look that up and find it. It wasn't readily available. In addition, I didn't like how long the door anchor was. It was super long. So if you have something like a close wall or something like that, that can probably be very problematic for you. Now, it does say on the tutorial videos that you can tie a knot to make it shorter, but tying a knot on there for using it as a door anchor, it doesn't make me feel very secure that it's gonna hold up. And also with all that tension and everything, that knot is gonna get really tight. And you to loosen that up, it's gonna be kind of difficult to loosen that up if you wanna just change resistance levels in like the middle of your workouts. So that's something that I find very problematic with just the door anchor itself. Now let's get to the part of the video that you're all here for, the pop test. How did it hold up? I know you're wondering if these bands can hold up to high resistance from popping. Now before we get to that pop test, if you're enjoying the video so far and you want to see more reviews like this, go ahead and hit that like button and leave a comment below to let me know what bands you would like to see me review in the future. But before we get started, I have this disclaimer. Now let's get to the pop test. Band pop test, number 1. So this time I'm gonna use a standard door anchor instead of the other one, as you see what happened when we used the included door anchor. So I'm gonna try the pop test with this door anchor, doing a common exercise, the shoulder press. that was a success. Pop test attempt number 2. Down lower. Let's try a thicker band. Pop test attempt number 3. All right, pop test number 3. It looks like we got it to pop here. So if you're doing an insane tricep pull down as a single arm or anything like that, it seems like that's what gets it to pop, but I think it held up pretty good. Now here are my final thoughts. I think these bands are great for the value. You get more bands for the same type of money than other competitors. The quality does hold up pretty well. I highly recommend the Handels. And the great thing about the Handels are you can buy them separately and you can use them with existing loop bands. So if anything on this review here, I would get those Handels there. Just for the fact that a lot of different exercises, you can get those bands off your body and focus on the muscle. Now, I'm not a fan of the door anchor, but the good news is that there's some other good door anchors out there by Undersun Fitness and Bodylastics. I recommend that you use those with these bands instead of the one that you get with the kit. And I'll leave a link in the description if you want to purchase these accessories or if you want to purchase these bands. Now I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Do you own a set of these Clench Fitness resistance bands? What has been your experience? Do you agree with the review? Do you disagree with the review? Are there some things that I missed that you enjoy? Go ahead and make sure you leave a comment and let me know how you feel about these bands or this review. And after you're done with that, check out my review of the top bands of 2021 that I reviewed. And then once you're done with that, I would highly recommend that you hit that subscribe button because I'm going to be doing a video real soon of the top bands of 2022.